Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have a little bit of an intriguing topic going on over here when it comes to PlayStation, and well, the fact that a lot of people are just not actually moving on over to the PlayStation 5. Now, as you guys have probably seen in the news, we're going to talk about this, and also a few other fun stories too as well. Basically, the PlayStation itself has been doing okay. Like, it's had good sales, it's had all-around good vibes, it's kind of technically winning the console fight against Xbox, which is kind of the end-all be-all. But when it comes to the actual internal community, people who own the PS3, PS2, PS4, and all these other various platforms, it seems like they're a little bit on the apprehensive side, moving on over to the PlayStation 5, where some people are waiting, as we kind of covered up in a prior video, just waiting for, say, GTA 6. Maybe waiting for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Maybe even at this point, for some odd reason, waiting for the PlayStation 6. Never bought one on launch and kind of just gave up on even trying to find one. Or as well, they're just not completely convinced on even trying to make that upgrade push as of yet. We've had some more intriguing numbers come out showing on how many people are still on the PS4. Talking about how the fact that people are just not moving. So let's go talk about throughout this video. As well, we'll all be probably doing some fun drinking on Twitch right now. If you guys are bored, so swing on by, say hello, leave a lurk, whatever. We also have the Twitter down below too, if you guys want to follow. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Let's go and dive on into the video itself. So as I mentioned, right now, we're seeing a lot of kind of bigger, intriguing news coming out over here when it comes to the actual sales figures. When it comes to stockholder meetings and shareholder meetings, that's usually a big thing to know because we want to see what's actually happening. Like, we can see random leaks and random rumors, but the things we want to hear officially are from the creator sources, like Sony shareholder meetings, or from, like, say, Herman Holst, or any of these lovely people that are up there in the PlayStation ecosystem, because they know the exact numbers, exact figures, they got the spreadsheets and everything. And so far, it seems like a lot of PS4 owners are not just making the leap towards the PS5, or they're completely happy with just their PS4 still, which to me is very surprising because the console's around 10 years old at this point. It's been a very, very long time. The console's been out for a very long time. Still goated, still love my PS4, was still happy I own my PS4, but I'm also one of those people who kind of get with the new times the second we can. So why is that? So a lot of PS4 owners have yet to upgrade to the PS5, but is it actually a big deal? So there's been a lot of talk on social media this week about the number of gamers still using the PS4 consoles. Sony announced during its latest earnings call that it has shipped 59.3 million PS5 consoles, which is still nothing to scoff at. Like, even if we just want to go whip out the good old trusty calculator, they're making a lot of money off this one. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to make the console itself, but let's go and say 53 million, or 59.3 million times, let's say an average $500. That alone is a $30 billion. Now, obviously, it takes a lot of money to go and make the console, ship the console, etc. Some are slightly cheaper, the digitals, some are bundles as well. But let's just go and say, regardless, this is multiple billions of dollars mixed in with their consoles. So they're pretty happy with it, regardless. But once again, they're always trying to self-compete. They want to beat the PS1, 2, 3, and 4 sales, and obviously beat Xbox, although at this point it's kind of a given in terms of how this console cycle is going. However, they're saying the PSN as a whole has actually been announced to have 118 million active monthly users, meaning at least half are still playing on the PS4. Although I do want to say this also might factor in maybe a little bit of people on the PC side, as you guys have heard on the channel, the Ghost of Tsushima drama or like Helldivers drama, all of that. They might also include more people on that as well, but I'm sure that ratio, at least in how small the PlayStation expansion is on Steam, is probably a way lower number. I'm sure you guys know, like, a lot of people have consoles, people like Steam games, but there's not as many as we'd expect, or there are single-player games you play on release, you play for 2 weeks, and you're donezo on that. But there are also some people maybe on the PS3 still, and Vita. So they're saying this has, as is so often the case in social media, led to an outpouring of overwhelming negativity. Which in theory is kind of funny because sometimes these videos are kind of, for me, it's kind of fun to go and just talk about and kind of notice because, yeah, there is sometimes a lot of negativity ongoing when it comes to stuff as a whole. Like, sometimes we see negative people, negative tweets. But the one, although it might be like not the funnest thing to have someone insult stuff, it does open up the discourse, which I think is kind of what makes it fun for YouTube videos. So many gamers aren't transitioning to PS5 because it lacks exclusive games, which still has been the same problem for the past multiple years, and maybe a big example of why some people aren't getting Xboxes, because they just could play on PC, why some people aren't updating to the PS5, because they could play a lot of the games on PS4 already. Or as well, some of the more staple games like, say, like Fortnite, etc., are still fine. So they're saying with a large proportion of major titles like EA Sports FC, Fortnite, especially in Call of Duty, they're still all perfectly playable on the last-gen console. And at that point, it's kind of like, We already know Call of Duty is a massive ratio of people who would play the game. Like, a lot of people like Call of Duty, a lot of people play Call of Duty. That's why there's been so much conversation around the Activision deal, if it's going to come to PlayStation or not, if Xbox can put on Game Pass or not. And as we kind of look through all these, it kind of goes to show that things may not be the best. Like, I mean, some people would say 60 million sales is great. I think so. But at the same time, if you have your own user base, this is like having an iPhone user that has like an iPhone 13, doesn't upgrade to the 15. That's fine because it all works, but at a certain point, it may actually go and completely hamper sales because they haven't been sold enough reason to get their consoles. It's kind of intriguing too because some of the comments even on this, like in the actual article itself, kind of highlighted on what people were thinking, which is kind of what I started off the video on. Some people just don't need it. Some people phase out of gaming. Some people can't afford it. Some people don't want to afford it. Some people already moved over to Xbox. Some people are on just PC purely. And it makes sense on how numbers will change. Like, there's millions of people with million different variables. It makes sense. They're saying, however, it's always been the case that there's a steady transition from one system to the next. For example, the PS2 sold a ton of units after the release of the PS3 and was still supported long into a successor's life cycle. It's true that the PS3 died a relatively quick death in comparison, but this was worn down to Sony's desire to move on from a device which had proved challenging to develop for and for a very long generation. Basically, because the PS3 did have its own individualized architecture, so having third-party titles and even having PlayStation same old studios also led to a lot of issues with the console itself as a whole. And that would make a lot of sense. But the PS4 and PS5 did go and change that and adjust it. But it almost seems like the PS4 almost seems like too good of a console. Like, it still is able to play a lot of big games, God of War and Horizon Forbidden West. Now, there are a few games it's not able to play. So a good example is Ratchet and Clank, although it wasn't the biggest seller, or games like Spider-Man 2. They just are not able to. But some folks are like, hey, you want to just sit and wait? Like, at this point, they probably don't mind because Spider-Man 2 has been out for quite some time already. So it's like, okay, in their minds, they don't mind. But the part two of that is that, well, yeah. They don't need it. They just don't need it at this point. And people are just being very slow on moving over. I was a day one buyer. I'm sure you guys remember from all the restock errors if you guys were there then. And for us, we're like, I'm okay with that. Like, I like the console, I like the graphics. I think the money was well spent. I enjoyed brand new exclusive titles, and I'll play them on stream. Like, even this week, I might go and check out Stellar Blade and Spider-Man when I'm not getting drunk, which is why if you guys want to hang out and chill down below, you guys totally can. Totally not an alcoholic. Yet. But we'll ask my future ex-wife about that one. We'll see. But anyway, when it comes to this, it's crazy to know because I'm surprised that people are still on the PS4. Like, are any of you guys watching this video still exclusively on the PS4 at this point? Like, I don't necessarily know because I mean, it makes sense. I would understand. I wouldn't judge. Or maybe you're just a PS4 and you have a PC now, and like you just kind of do what you want to do. Like, I'm okay with that as well. But they're saying it's always been the case, too, for these consoles. They kind of eventually taper off or segue over. But they have earlier this week, Sony made headlines for PS5 reaching 59 million units sold. A good number. Sony says PS5 is in the second half of its life cycle. Sony also said PlayStation has 118 million monthly active users, too, as well. So is this like a big problem to you guys? I'm actually very curious in this. They're also saying, too, that it's like they're still been working on transitioning these people over. I'd be one of those things where I'd run like a promo. Like, you go and have a PS4 and you go buy a PS5. I think they've done maybe one in passing. Give someone like a free game. Go and throw them like Ratchet and Clank for free. Give them like an Elden Ring or something like that. Make it really, really incentivization for it. Maybe try to get some even better prices, better bundles. Like, people can totally come on down to as well. But some people are saying, hey, I'm just waiting for the PS5 Pro because then they get to enjoy all of the prior games, but as well also get to go and have just new stuff. Like, you get that fresh out of the box smell. You get to play GTA 6 on top of that. Like, it makes sense. Some people, they had to wait 2 or 3 years just to get the PS5 in the first place. So why not wait a little bit longer? Some people are still saying it's too expensive too as well, because they're saying on top of that, especially with inflation too on top of that. Some people are saying just wait until PS4s until GTA 6 come out. How many younger people with me have hand-me-down consoles playing free-to-play games like Fortnite too as well? So that also makes sense. Like, Rocket League, Fortnite is still irrelevant. Same with Call of Duty. Some people are just waiting for GTA 6, waiting for GTA 6 to see if the PS5 Pro comes out. Some are currently in the Xbox Series S and Pro, and they're fine with that as of now. So it makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm kind of curious of what you guys think about the acquisition over there. Also had some very, very intriguing stuff over here for Assassin's Creed, where apparently the pre-orders are looking very strong and apparently looking pretty good, which is surprising. Assassin's Creed has been kind of on the 50-50 for a while. There has been a little bit of a quick spoiler over here for Elden Ring, or Elden Ring itself has now gone and shown brand new characters. I cannot wait for this DLC. I almost want to do a replay through of Elden Ring itself and get my character off the scuff. I've been watching Kai's too as well. Phenomenal streams, phenomenal vibes. Been loving it. Always cool to see. And as well, Borderlands 4 might be in the works over here because at this point, this is the most profitable game they've had. It seems like ever since Take-Two, the people who own Rockstar have now had a chance to go and maybe look at the future of Borderlands 4. Now, the Borderlands movie is weird. We'll see. But at the same time, Borderlands 4, I think, does have a lot of potential. So I'm excited to go and see this actually coming back as well. So give me your thoughts and comments and everything down below. I appreciate you all very much for watching. I love you guys all very much, and hope you guys have a good night. Go swing by Twitch if you guys are bored, and I appreciate you guys all for everything.